to Ugly Oysters. This video is one of a series of discussions based on Jordan Peterson's book, Beyond Order. Today we look at Peterson's chapter called Plan and Work Diligently to Maintain the Romance in Your Relationship, which challenges us to know what we want, discuss it clearly, and negotiate our ways into a return to romance. Can it be possible that romance results from negotiation and scheduling? Isn't that a little like letting the left brain manage the right? I have posted timestamps below if you wish to locate anything specific, and I do hope you enjoy the view while considering these ideas for our lives.
Hi.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Good.
I think we have a beautiful day ahead of us.
And seems long time since last time.
Oh yeah? Maybe. Did I had to spend a little more time preparing for this chapter, I think.
I see. So I think you're going to give us a very interesting review.
Well, let's just see how interesting it is. So this chapter is called Plan and Work Diligently to Maintain the Romance in Your Relationship. So this is where Peterson hits on the romance topic. And he's divided his chapter into 6 sections. The first section he calls the unbearable date, in which he says that every couple runs into romantic difficulties.
Oh, really?
Sorry, maybe not every couple does. Every couple that does run into romantic difficulties has a choice. They can either give up or they can work at it. And if the goal is to bring out that best self in each other that they fell in love with, then they need to target that, and they need to improve their skills, I think he says. Yeah, so that's
basically like he is teaching you communication skill in marriage.
I didn't think it was primarily communication skills, although maybe it's partly that. Sorry, I'm just reaching for something else here. Yeah. Actually, since you asked, I'll just say I did a little word analysis of the chapter. And every time he brings up the word romance, what is it related to? It comes up 19 times. It's related to work and planning. It's related to time. It's related to schedules. It's related to time. It's related to time. It's related to trust, truth, negotiation, responsibility, planning, decisiveness. So that's halfway through the chapter. You get the sense this is not so much about communication from his point of view. It's
I see.
Although that communication piece...
More like the base.
Pardon me?
For him, more like a base for romance. Like where romance built on.
Yeah.
It's kind of the base. You need time. You need people to do the labor. For example, buy the candles. Like it's the base.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems to be... Well, and in fact... So
he is more like want to convey romance, which is maybe more abstract or more feeling way to a more concrete way. Which we can learn, which we can improve, which we can build up in the real life. This is what he's talking, right?
Partly, yeah, I think so. In fact, the next section is called Bedrock.
I see.
And
so why not you give us like before, you give us a summary, and then we talk about it.
Sure. So, he continues with the next section called Bedrock.
Mm-hmm.
And bedrock means that's kind of like the foundation, right? What bedrock, what is the rock on the bed underneath, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the bedrock, from his perspective, is that to maintain romance, you must negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
And to negotiate, you must know what you want. And that's a challenge in itself, knowing what you want. And then discussing it clearly. So, he's big on this. This is a big part of his chapter. Then, the next section adds to this. It's called Christ in the Candle. And this is where, you know, do you remember the person who you watched Jordan Peterson debate? What's that man? Sam Harris? Sam Harris, yeah. Sam Harris accused Peterson of smuggling religion into his arguments. And I would say in this chapter, Peterson's doing that because he's setting up a kind of frame for the way it's sort of implied that every relationship should go to. Like, the chapter title is Maintain Romance in Your Relationship. But, you know, he really, according to this chapter, probably should have said in your marriage, because that's what it's all about here. And Christ in the Candle is a symbol using a kind of traditional procedure in a marriage, Christian marriage. So he talks from the Christian perspective about the first man, Adam, and about the second man, Christ, and that both of these individuals, Adam and Christ, have been symbolized as a balance of male and female. The masculine elements and the feminine elements. And marriage is seen as a return to that original unity. And holding the candle aloft in the marriage ceremony, which this section is about, is to show that both partners, male and female, are equally accountable to the rule of truth, or to the, you know, to God, or whatever you might represent that by. And this is the assumed definition that Peterson uses in the chapter. And he basically makes marriage into more than a contract. It's kind of a spiritual and permanent bond. And I don't think this is how everyone views marriage, but it's definitely a Christian view, and not even all Christians believe this, but I think most Christians do.
Okay.
But the implications, there's implications if you take that view. One is that for most marriages then, for most people, marriage with the opposite sex heals a basic wound of imbalance. Because the genders were split from Adam. They were reunited in Christ. The idea is that there is this original wholeness, original unity. And if you're just a single person, then you're not really whole yet. And a lot of people don't like that teaching, but that's the position he's taking. Also, the permanence of this bond because it's permanent. It's not, this is not, in fact, he quotes the verse, what God has joined together, let no one bring asunder, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he says the permanence of this and the suffering that results has healing and growth consequences. So suffering in a marriage brings about growth, and it's kind of a divine plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then thirdly, you just won't get along unless you negotiate. You have to negotiate. Excuse me. Okay, so then there's a section called Negotiation, Tyranny, or Slavery. And this, actually, the title of that section I just said to you, but the terms, he already used them in the previous section. He already introduced the idea of negotiation, tyranny, or slavery. And that is that in the marriage relationship, you can have one of three alternatives. You can have tyranny, where somebody is completely dominating in the relationship. And if you have tyranny, then you also have slavery, where someone is completely submissive and being perhaps abused in the relationship. Or you have negotiation, in which you battle it out, basically. And I use the term battle it out because Peterson uses these kind of strongly emotional words. You have to fight it out. You have to battle it out. And he's done that earlier, too, in the book. Page 91, he says, have the damn fight. He's kind of encouraging people to really not back down. And also go to every detail. Anyway, if people choose the option of negotiation, he says there's a reward for that. Even though the negotiation's difficult and there's going to be a lot of suffering and so on, the reward is that you'll get a marriage that works. You could have children. Your work life will become better. And you could actually start to make some improvements on the world around you. So the implication, of course, is if you don't succeed in these things, then you're not going to be able to do those things. Then he has a section called the domestic economy, where he just gets practical. And he says you got to decide who's responsible for what. And he talks about everything. Who's going to make the bed? When? What time? How will people greet each other when they come home from work? You know, every single detail. He goes for pages outlining all the details that need to be negotiated out. And that's part of the economy, you know, how time is spent, how money is spent. Then he says you need to set aside at least 90 minutes a week to talk practically and personally. And then he says actually about everything, no matter how painful. Just talk about everything. Then the last section's called, finally, romance. And he says it requires time, it requires money, it requires candles, it requires effort. And that's it. That's kind of the overall argument. And I already gave you a summary of some of the key words that are associated with romance to him, so. Did you have any thoughts?
That's all?
Well, I mean, that's the summary, yeah.
So Do you want to talk about your reflection?
Sure. So planning, effort, schedules, negotiation, I think all these things are important. Why? Because they create a kind of container, a space in which romantic romance may be expressed, say. And actually there's a Christian theologian who says something similar. He says that there are healing properties throughout nature, but a space needs to be created to allow those healing properties to flow. And I think it's kind of similar with romance. I think there's romance everywhere, frankly. But a space needs to be created to allow that romance to grow. But also, I do think the whole business about planning, effort, schedules, and negotiation are also kind of symptomatic of living in the modern world, where we're constantly crowded out with a kind of busyness that seems almost frantic, and you wonder about the meaningfulness of that. However, I think planning, effort, schedules, and negotiation are to romance what paint by number is to art. You know paint by number?
No.
It's a kind of where you get a what do they call it? Canvas, a painting canvas. And it's all got lines drawn in, and there's little numbers indicating what color to paint.
And
then you have,
I see.
Yeah. So to me, all that planning, effort, negotiation, schedules, that's like paint by number. It's, it's organized.
It's not a freestyle painting.
Yeah, it's not freestyle. And I would also say paint by number is for non-artists. People who have no concept of art. They can do that. Romantic people will have romantic marriages. This is my view. Without the need of all these devices. Just as they will have romance with their work. They'll have romance with their children. They'll have romance with nature. Because romance is kind of a state of mind. And I think Peterson is kind of out of his territory on this topic. I mean, he's good to be able to help solve problems that people might have run into. But even so, I don't think he's getting to the heart of the issue. Yes, you do have to schedule things, etc. But if that's all you do, I'm not sure that's actually creating romance. It's just creating more efficiency. It's creating more possibility for romance. But if someone read this chapter thinking, oh yeah, I need to improve the romance in my marriage, they might come out simply being more efficient if they followed these directions. Ultimately, I feel Peterson is taking romance, which in my view is the whole right brain aspect of living, and he's trying to pull it out and put it into a 90-minute time slot in life, where you buy supplies and you have techniques, and it just... What he's saying is necessary, but it's not sufficient. It's not going to do the job if you all... now, he does premise that people lost the romance they originally had. So he's setting this up as people somehow getting themselves in a situation where they've lost the romance. So, you know, he's kind of talking like a psychologist, and he's kind of trying to help lead people back to a presumed state that they had. But nevertheless, I think, you know, it's problematic that way.
Okay, I got what you say. Do you mind I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. For me, I think what you said and what Peterson said doesn't contradict. Why? Because what you said is the people, maybe they're more like you said, right brain way, such as artists, musician or whatever, you know, like a more right brain way. So these kind of people, maybe they will have a love, which is to normal people seems very speculate, like marvelous, like cool, like a movie or whatever. But it doesn't mean the ordinary people can have that kind of a love. Because ordinary people maybe not that spontaneously know how to live in their real life, have this romantic way. So I think Peterson, this book is not for the great artist, what the romance should be. Maybe his book is for just for normal people, you know. And also I think even between the greatest artists, their love may be very, very strong, somehow, may be very, very beautiful, but also maybe can't last long. So I think in Peterson's mind, he think how to maintain it, how to make the sparkle not like dried off. So he kind of give the practical technique skills in the real practical life. So it's kind of like how you still have the cake, like the icing after you have steak. So I think this is what he want to give. It's maybe not a recipe for the artist kind of a people. It's a recipe for the normal people. And I think normal people need that skill. Because I saw lots of people around me, my friends or something, they fall in love, they married, then they quarreled. Then all their life quarrel, but they don't know how to negotiate. Then now they got divorced, you know. So it's also kind of a hurt for both of them. So if they know how to negotiate in the right way, I think it would be better for them. Because one of my friends, she now lives by herself. Her husband lived by himself. Like, there is no, like others, you know, interfere their marriage. She don't have another him. He don't have another her. But they just can't get along with. They still feel painful by the divorce. But they don't know how to live together with. So I think for them, if they know Peterson's skill, if they know how to negotiate in the beginning, then they will not accumulate that kind of regret, you know, sorrow, all the negative feeling didn't get out. They may find a way to get it out in a tender way that each other can understand. So this, I think, it's valuable. And I think his suggestion is very useful, you know. That's what I'm thinking. I think romance have different romance. You may have the big romance, in the famous movie, or you can have small romance in the layperson's life. So that somehow I agree with you. I also not agree with you. You can't put artist life to the extremely as the normal people, everyone's life.
Yeah. So when you give the example of your friends and you talk about all the benefits of Peterson's words, I agree. I don't disagree. But what I disagree with is when you say that's normal people's life. Normal people have a right brain. And to me, romance is at least half of life. Not just this small little corner of even 90 minutes a week. Romance is a whole way of living, and I think it's as whole a way of living as the other way of having schedules and order and whatever. Like, to me, Peterson sets up the stage by talking about order and chaos. But order is just one half. The other half is chaos. And to me, the romance is in that chaos side. The artistry is in that chaos side. And ordinary people have that. Or at least they have the capability of having it. And to me, it's wrongly focused just to try to tighten up your schedule. I think the focus should be how to return to a romantic life, not just a romantic marriage, but how to have romance, period. Even if you don't feel romantic to your wife, you could feel romantic to every other bloody thing in the world. And I think that is a state of mind that was a lot more common around the turn of the 20th century than it is now. Yeah. And I think it's possible.
Yeah, but now you use this romance word like more broadly. It's not what this chapter is about.
But I think
this chapter is about romancing marriage.
Yeah, but I think that's the problem. People have forgotten how to be romantic, period. And so even Peterson is kind of narrowing it down to just sex, and sex is not romance. You can have romance without sex, and you can have sex without romance. Those two things are not equal.
Still, it's the same thing. I think like some people, they are very active in their right brain. So like you would say this. But most people, I think, they didn't feel romance with a tree. They don't feel romantic with a sky. Like most people, they don't have that tunnel. Maybe not like have abundant antenna like you, will have so many tunnels to everything you can feel romance.
Yeah.
So it's not most people's situation. So I think he is talking about the people who lost the romance. So where you can get the romance back, the most big channel should be the marriage. So he will give the suggestion for you to how to you get to that part again.
Yeah,
I agree with him. Like he said, even romance, you can't just have it in your mind. Like, you have a romantic feeling. So you can, of course, you can have romance with a tree. But the tree may not respond to you. Or you may fear when it's shaking its leaves, it responds to you. It's okay. But normally, other people don't feel this way. So in Peterson's mind, if you want to have a romantic night, at least you need to decide who's going to go get candle. That's labor. Also, you need to pay for the candle. That's money. So everything should be related. Then make it move forward. I think it's very reasonable for a marriage to going on the romantic track. Otherwise, everyone just think, I'm going to want to have a romantic marriage. But no one go buy candle, no one, cook the dinner, no one do these things. So how can this marriage sustained? So I just think it's very useful for his suggestion.
Sure, I didn't say it's not. I just said it's not enough. It won't do it, ultimately.
Okay.
If he says you got to negotiate everything out, okay, but what if the problem is not your spouse? What if the problem's bigger than that? What if the problem is that you've gotten so trained to live in your left brain only? Then it's unfortunate that you fight with your spouse so much and negotiate out so hard that 90 minutes and get your candles and still find, oh, still not working. So then I think, Peterson, you got the right idea, but you're not going far enough. You need to negotiate with the world and get the world back to a place where a romantic ideal comes back into our daily living, such as we had around the turn of the 20th century. Back when culture was a lot more vibrant and a lot less mechanistic. That's the real negotiation in my view. But anyway, I didn't say he's wrong. I just said I don't think it's enough. I don't think if you really want to deal with the problem of romance, then you got to bring romance into your life, period, totally, not just with your spouse. It's not enough. It's too small. Yeah.
But like, if you say so, I agree with you, but I think on that topic, there is no any suggestion you can give. It's just basically how this human being was born to. Some people, they born to like a more right brain, so may have the romance or have the romantic feeling for everything right away. Some people, they just are born with the left brain tendency, so they may just lose it. So they don't have that. So, I mean, then there is no training or technical skills for these people. So, I mean, it's not something we can do. So Peterson just tried to do something that we human beings can do in this area.
Yeah, well, it depends on what you're targeting and what your goal is. As Peterson says, you have to know what you want and then you have to go for it. So it's interesting what you just said just now. It prompted me to think of society as a kind of marriage. And if you use Peterson's metaphor of two becoming one, and if you use the chaos and order thinking, or if you put the male on one side of the, what is it, yin or yang? Yang is male, and yin is female. I think, socially speaking, we have become, in many places, male-dominated societies. What do I mean by male-dominated? I mean logical, sequential, systematic, ordered, narrow, okay? And romance doesn't occur in that. It's not a romantic capacity. It occurs on the other side. So if Peterson says you have a choice, you can have a tyranny and slavery, or you can have negotiation, I think, socially speaking, we were at tyranny and slavery. At first, predominantly male, meaning technical, I don't mean men are ruling, I just mean technical, technical, logical, sequential, ordered, all that kind of stuff is ruling. Then I think if a person becomes aware of that, then they can ask themselves, how much have I been affected by that in my life? Like, I think frankly, if you want to have romance in a marriage or in a relationship, actually, fundamentally, it begins right with the individual. It's a call to return to whole-minded thinking, not just be half a brain, just being logical, sequential. And if a person, and you can do things about that, you can develop yourself to become more whole-minded. We all have both sides of our brain. We don't have to function just on one side. And, you know, a person could argue, don't even get married until you have some of that whole-mindedness. Don't try to marry a partner to round yourself out. You become rounded and then get married, you know? So, you know, like, there's good stuff there. And yeah, maybe it will help some people, but I don't think it's sufficient. Not enough. But there are other side effects of his writing, too, that are kind of smuggled in, as I mentioned earlier. Do you want to talk about those, or you want to still reply to what I was saying?
No, it's okay. You can talk about that.
One of the things that Peterson keeps bringing up, sort of thematically, through his book, is this idea of having conflict, battling things out. And, you know, I mentioned earlier on page 108, he says, have the damn fight. I also remember from my own studies in organization and leadership, someone said that community is not possible without conflict. So, you know, I agree with him in that sense. But I also think this thing can be done too much, and I think Peterson does it too much. Like, if you read through this chapter and you come to some pages and he talks about all the detail, I just think I'd never want to be married to this guy. He'd drive me crazy. And I'm taking a quote from one of your own Chinese authors, Xueqin. I always say the name bad, I think. Can you say the name of that writer?
Xueqin.
Xueqin. He wrote story Dream of the Red Chamber, or Story of the Stone. Anyway, one of the characters in that story said that the world despises too much purity. And I think that's true. And also the Bible says, do not be overrighteous. Why destroy yourself? I think you can go too far on these things. You can become like a Puritan, like want to iron out every detail, negotiate every little piece, have everything in the air, have no secrets. And I just don't believe in that kind of world, and I also don't think that is a world that produces romance. I don't think you increase romance by having so much clarity on things. All you do, again, is increase efficiency. And so then again, I fault Peterson that he's too much in his left brain trying to manage the right brain. And it won't work. That's not romance.
But frankly, I think it worked. At least in his marriage, it worked very well.
Well, how can anyone judge that? I can't judge that. I'm skeptical. I doubt.
It's just that he felt it's very well, then it's very well. You need to believe that.
Well, I can't say.
Because it's his marriage.
I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know anything really about his marriage, so I can't make a comment on that. But I'm skeptical. Unless his wife is similar, also wants everything so ironed out and clear. You know, I mean, it's possible that you can run into a partner who's so left brain like that. Yeah.
I don't agree with you. I don't think Peterson is so left brain that extremely. Because I saw him shed tears for Yami's talking. I saw him shed tears for, other stories. He has this compassion. And I think this belongs to the right brain thing. And this also why he think romance is so important, even write a chapter for that. If he's so left brain, I don't think he will view romance as that much highly important. So he just used his left brain skill to improve the skills, how you maintain romance. I don't think there is any wrong there. And also, I do think a person need left brain support in the right brain achievement. Because I saw also lots of right brain people, they just have a dream, but they never have a technique support, to reach their dream. So it's become like just a useless dreamer, So I just felt Peterson's this very important. It kind of gives the bullets for the right brain dreamer even. So you can achieve that romance by this way. And otherwise, how they can achieve that dream? You can't always just thinking, or dreaming to reach your dream, So I still think this is practical. It's just it's real in the real life. It gave me the safety feeling. Say, actually, you also can attain romance on this earth. It's not just a romance, it's a very short period, Like lots of people, they have they have romance like for 3 days maybe, for 3 months or 3 years, then it's gone. And Peterson tell you a way how to maintain it. And I think it's really cool.
So, I don't disagree with you. I think you misunderstand me. I didn't say he doesn't have a right brain. And I know he's a compassionate person.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is too clear. Too every detail. And
That's, I just think, because he's writing a book, so he want to push to the edge to let people see. It's kind of just a way of art. Like when you're on the stage, you're going to push this emotion, push this words extremely to get your audience to notice it.
Well, that's possible, but I
even suspect if he would do that much in his real life. But he want to say it clearly.
Well, that's possible, but I don't think so. And also, somebody who's reading the book, who thinks, who wants to take his advice carefully, I think they will understand that you have to go to every detail, and that would be a bad understanding of it. Like...
I don't think so, because after I read, I didn't think I should go every detail, and detail who's gonna make it bad.
Well,
I will not do that.
Yeah, but
I understand what he's talking. Like, if you really, for example, I'm the one who care about making the bad. So, of course, I should negotiate with my partner.
Yep.
But if I don't, I don't.
But,
right?
As soon as you said that, I just looked at my book, and my eyes landed on this sentence. You are required to negotiate every damned and apparently trivial detail. He means every damned detail. He's not saying, you need to think about these things. He's saying you got to negotiate every single damn detail. And he means, who prepares the meals? When do they get prepared?
Maybe he
How do you...
a word to say, which you care.
how do you thank someone for conducting themselves properly in the kitchen? Like, if you take his words literally, like, you're interpreting his words already, but if you just take them literally for what he's saying, he means everything.
I mean, he said every detail that you care. I think he omitted 3 words.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Because when I read, I just read it this way. Every detail. For example, I really care some details, like my spouse didn't care. And it's really annoyed me. So, but I think, it's too small. So, seems not put on the table is not good.
Yeah.
But I think that's why I think when Peterson say that, I think, so I should have the rights to negotiate that detail. So it's good, actually. It's give me the power. Then I can negotiate about the detail, what I care. I think same thing to my spouse too. He also should do that. Like, don't put things into the fog, like what he said before.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna get a clear negotiation, and you really know what others want.
Yeah.
Even in detail. And that I really think keep a romance going, away.
Yeah, well, that leads me to the thing that I was going to say that I appreciate about Peterson, and that he has challenged me on, which is, know what you want, and then say it clearly. I think sometimes, I don't know about most people, but I can say about myself, sometimes I'm not sure what I want. And that maybe has a history because, there's been past times where I've tried to make major decisions. I knew what I wanted, and those were taken away from me as a child. But that's old history. But still, I think it might have established a pattern where I denied to myself what I wanted, and I need to rebuild those awareness of those desires of what I want. And then fight for them. So I appreciate that about Peterson, but that's more than just marriage. That's in life generally. I think the concept of negotiation, tyranny, or slavery, I also like that concept. Actually, I've heard it before in another book called Truth is Stranger Than It Used to Be by Middleton and Walsh, I think, are the authors. Only they articulate it slightly differently, and they also use the Christian framework. They say we can be tyrannical masters and slaves, or we can be servants. I also like that way of phrasing it. I don't say it's better than negotiation, but I think it helps round out the concept of negotiation by adding the concept of servanthood.
But servant is one way. I don't think negotiate is 2 way.
Yeah, when they use the term servant, they're contrasting it to slavery. They don't mean slavery. They don't mean...
Yeah, but you see, it's right away already cause confusion. Like me, I don't think a servant. Oh, why?
I mean, it's an orientation toward striving for the best for each other. It's not just about getting what I want. It's not a negotiation to achieve my will. It's a negotiation to come to a mutual understanding. Something that's good for both of us. I want to be in a servant attitude.
I think a negotiation also is something for both, good for both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe just
it's also assert energy. Like you should assert yourself more. Because in our culture, like you said, we always use this kind of a servant way.
Yeah.
And actually, I think the servant way will make the nice person more weaker and make the tyranny person more tyranny. I don't like it. I even hate it. I think people will be victim of it if you have a nice heart using this so-called servant way. And I'm tired of that. I think I want this negotiate way. I want to assert myself more. I want to like put myself in the air, not just like the servant way all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sorry, I don't buy your word.
Well, I think it's a good point. I think what you say is a good point.
Like all our culture talking about this servant way.
Yeah.
And I believe, like for example, I believe in it, and I live for it for like 50 years or maybe.
Yeah.
But why?
Yeah.
And it puts you more and more like a servant. And the other just to take advantage of everything. They just still talk about this word, the servant. I'm gonna serve you, but actually they will not do it. So why not just negotiate on the table, detail by detail?
Yeah.
So I thought I buy that. I like negotiate. I never heard of that in my formal education about like a relationship. You should negotiate. It seems so cold, you know. Like even seems there is no affection there. Seems only business person would do that. Why you put business style in your marriage? No, but now I think I love it.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
I don't want to be servant anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I understand. Actually, I feel your words. I get it.
Also, this kind of a Christian teaching, I always think they usually put the woman on the nicer side of the marriage.
Yeah.
A victim.
Yeah.
So I don't like that.
Yeah. But the other thing you brought up, so first of all, I agree with your feeling about that. I understand. Maybe servant isn't... I still sort of keep servant to myself, but maybe that's not so good.
You can.
Maybe that's not so good for...
You are servant in your marriage.
Yeah.
Because I think men need to learn that.
Yeah. Maybe it's not so good for everyone, but you did touch on a point that maybe I was trying to get at too, and that is, you said this negotiation thing feels so cold. And I also feel the way Peterson does this, it's more like managing a business than managing a marriage. I do feel that. Because...
manage a what?
It's more like managing a business than managing a marriage. And so to me, it does need some way to just soften it and make it a little more gentle. But maybe servant is not the concept. Maybe something else. I don't know. Okay. No, it's a good point. I think a lot of people will agree with you, and frankly, I don't disagree. Okay. I'm just looking for if I have any other comments.
I just felt, frankly, like Peterson gave the nicer side of the marriage a bullet, can fight for their own benefits.
Well, that,
like you just said, you felt the marriage like he managed the marriage like a business. Then I think, why not? Like at first, business, talking out it loudly and clearly. Make your spouse know what you want and don't want. Don't step on my borderline. Then we can be peacefully befriend. It's just like a country and country. You know, it's just like other relationship. So before I just think I have this kind of so-called romantic thinking, romantic way of thinking. So I would think, oh no, negotiate. It's not good idea. So never negotiate anything. But because you are so sensitive and you will understand other people's wants, so you just right away give what they want, but they never give back. So what's the purpose? So then I think now I just gonna pick up Peterson's way. I gonna practice the negotiate skill and I gonna get what I want. So I really thank him for giving me the bullets. Otherwise, you see, even these nicer people will think negotiate is so cold, like you said. Then they will not do it. They will never talk out their own needs on the table in an intimacy relationship. And that's not good.
Yeah. Actually, that's interesting because you
have emotion here.
No, it's good. I like when you talk this way. This makes it more interesting. And I think other people watching this will identify with what you're saying too. So
yeah,
not just what you're saying, they'll identify with the feeling that you have when you're saying it.
Yeah, so I just felt Peterson strengthened me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. If this gonna kill the romance away, like you said, actually you think this way kind of killing the romance, right? No. It's kind of like a business way.
No.
And it's kind of a too detail by detail. Seems maybe the romance is gonna killed. I think if it's gonna be killed, then killed. It never exists. If there is no equal, there is no romance. I think equality is more important than romance.
No,
you know, especially at my age, I don't want to pursue a romance, then give up myself. No, never.
Yeah.
Sorry, I become the feminism which you hate. But I really think the man take all the advantages which should not be theirs.
I'm not opposed to what you're saying, but except I do think you misunderstand my view sometimes. You're arguing something. Okay. You're arguing something that I have no bets on. I'm not putting any money down on some of the things you're arguing against.
Okay.
But you said something about people being so caring that they wind up losing, they don't get treated fairly because they desire to be so caring rather than negotiate. And that reminds me of an article I read recently where they talk about there's a certain kind of person who's strongly empathic. They're the kind of people who can talk to others and help them with their emotion, with their relationship. They seem to have deep insight about people's needs. But in providing that to others, they never kind of get the return to themselves. They never feel themselves fully accepted, even when they give that to everyone else or to certain individuals. And I think these kind of people will also suffer in a marriage where they don't know how to negotiate. I think that's true. I agree with you. They'll give and they'll give and they'll give, and the other partner will just take and not even think to negotiate back. Yeah.
So at that time, you should negotiate.
Yeah. I agree.
Unless, like you said, in a very ideal way, two people are all servants. Then it's okay.
Yeah.
But it's very rare, actually, in the relationship.
Yeah. That's my ideal, though. I would rather be in a situation where both people are servants to one another. It's to me that would be the most beautiful and the most romantic, I think.
Yeah, but maybe, who knows, maybe it can't last long. I mean, something, maybe, I believe in this. Everything have an energy. For example, the full energy is 1,000. So if this very, very strong, like, for example, love is very strong in the romance. So maybe they gonna use it up in 3 months. already reached this 1000 energy. Boom, finished. So, maybe this love is not that strong, maybe a little bit plain, but maybe they can use this 1000 budget for lifelong. So you can't say which one is better. It's just to say which kind of love you are pursuing. But I always believe that the whole energy, kind of just the same amount. So maybe just Peterson chooses long, plain, like manageable, more skill-based romance. And I give him applause,
Okay, so I'll take your point and I'll use it to attack Peterson on my final point. And my final point is, because you said you can't just say one thing is perfect for everyone, it's different for different people.
Yeah.
My final point is he makes marriage appear to be the only place in which romance may occur, and he smuggles in Christian morality as well. He makes it seem like if you're gonna have children, you need to be married, okay. If you're gonna be better at your work, you need to be married. Pardon? Really? If you're gonna change the world, you need to have a successful marriage. Pardon? What? He overreaches, I think, on this area. And just, you come away from reading the chapter, like I said, the title is about maintaining romance in your relationship. But the whole chapter is about marriage. I think he's smuggling in a morality. And I agree with, what's that guy's name again? The guy he argues with at UBC? Sam Harris. I agree with Sam Harris on this point in this chapter. He's not using Christian mythology to illustrate a truth. He's taking Christian morality and saying, there it is, now do it.
This I agree. He actually believed in this, so he were smuggling it.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's, I think that's about all I have on this.
That's his help. That's his, how to say, his point of view, his value system. And it's also normal for people smuggling their own value system to every conversation. And it's also identify who they are.
Yeah, sure.
So that's who he is.
Sure.
Who he is.
Sure.
Yeah.
So were there any other things in this chapter that stood out or impressed you that maybe we didn't talk about?
So far it's good, because for me, I just feel, finally there is someone saying things like that. And I like it. Okay. So basically I'm just absorb it. I think, gonna do this.
Okay. Well, we'll wait to hear the good reports.
Yeah, just a thing should be like a more women need to learn this. Or the nicer part of their relationship should learn this.
Yeah. Do you think there would be any particular challenges in being this way?
Of course, because you lack of skill. You never know how to negotiate. And you may be like being put down or being, fixed right away or something. You're going to meet this kind of challenges. But you're going to sharpen your weapon to do it anyway.
Yeah, how do you do that?
How do you do that?
Yeah,
just to practice. You're going to learn.
I see. Start small?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Do you think a Chinese audience would have a predictable reaction to the content of this chapter?
I didn't get your question. What's the meaning of that?
That means, first of all, like, you know, sometimes things are very individual. Different people will react different ways. But sometimes things are so cultural that you can already anticipate what most people in that culture will think or do. And I'm just wondering if this chapter were read in China, you know, is there a reaction that you would anticipate is likely to occur?
I think this will cause more conflict in the marriages in China if, like, the nicer parts know how to negotiate, and negotiation is not bad thing. I
see.
Yeah, I think, like, mostly, like, our culture, it will, like, there is no negotiable thing, you know? It's kind of already set. For example, like now, it's equal woman and man. So they both get job. But after job, mostly is the woman taking care of the kid. And the woman is doing the housework. And the woman taking care of the grandparents. And the woman got so tired, you know? It seems it's normal. You know, it's there is a very ridiculous, not ridiculous, it's a very actually, I just give you an example, like can demonstrate that.
Yeah.
So there is a both, because in China, now if you have a COVID, then you will be spotted out. So all your, how to say, like all your, you travel, like not travel, like if they can spot where you are all the time. Like for example, this before you get COVID, there's 14 days where you are. So they will they will draw a line for where you are, a picture kind of. So the woman usually will from home to working place, then back home take the kids to their after school class. And they will buy grocery, and they go home, they cook, maybe, you know, they go pick up the kids, and they, like, come to somewhere, maybe take care of the grandparents and buy something, or, like, the woman is very busy, you know, after work.
Yeah.
But, you know, what the men go, like, it's kind of ridiculous. It's also, there is a man spotted out. After work, he go to some place. After work, he go to some place. Then you spot that place out. It turns out it's this man's ex-wife, you know, like outside of marriage, a miss, we call her a miss. So then this miss also get this COVID, but his wife didn't. So this is all this man's job. After work, he go there, then maybe he go back home. That's all. The man's, you know, the traveling is very simple. The picture is very simple, but the woman, oh my God, she would buy this and like small buns for kids to eat, buy grocery, and go back and take out the garbage. You know, the woman is so busy. The line, you can see the line. So I think this is so unfair for the women. But no one realize, not no one. Some women already realize it's not fair. You know, like. But the whole society still have this anticipation, say the woman should do everything. But then, when in the job system, in the career system, the company don't want include women. Why? Oh, you're gonna have kids. Oh, you're gonna, you know, can't concentrate on work. Like then the woman gonna take the no benefits at all, right? By taking care of his own family. So what's the goodness for the woman? I think if they not gonna do the negotiation, they're gonna live this kind of a life all their life. Why? Then when the woman gets retired, it's also their job, and they need to take care of their kids. So they can kind of have endless, like never, you know, rest life. So what's the purpose for this life, and what's the what's the happiness for this kind of life? And it's the normal life for a normal Chinese woman. And I think, and this is in city, you know, and in the countryside, more worse. Like a kind of the woman do everything. In some countryside, the men even don't go to the field to work. Still the women. And the women do everything. And the man just maybe have smoking with his friends, you know, play cards. What's that for? And everyone think this woman should marry. If she don't get married, everyone look down upon her. So, you see? What's the benefits for the woman if they never know how to negotiate? So I just think Peterson's way is a very mild way. If I think the woman should fight the man, never get married with any man, you know? Go to hell. We live our life. We don't need you. So that's why it's very popular, you know, when a woman a woman's husband died. They don't get married. Why? They say, why I need to take care of another stupid man? And the man's wife died. They want to get married right away. Why? They need someone to take care of them. So it's very unfair. So I don't know. Maybe there is something there. So I just totally agree with Peterson. And I just think, oh my God, in this kind of a situation, just romance. Oh my God, I go hear about romance. I don't need a romance. I just want equality. What a romance? It's just a delusion pill for the woman to devote all their life for. It's just so stupid, you know?
So, actually, I think why you like this chapter, it's not because you want romance. You want equality.
Of course, I think now I more and more think it's so stupid. Some women think, oh, this man buy me gifts, and this man take me to somewhere, and this man whatever. Oh, it's kind of so romantic.
But
wait a minute.
But see, that's the kind of romance.
See, after that, what it is. So I think definitely equality is more than romance.
Yeah. So, see, if the chapter was talking about equality, I'd say, oh yeah, Peterson's right on. He's got a good point. Makes sense, you know? I'd say...
Because romance should be based on this basic rights for equality.
Yeah.
If there's no equality, there is no romance. You know, the emperor can give the romance to his 100 wife, you know?
Yeah.
But just one night, then he go away. He find other women to be his 100 and first another wife. I mean, it's so easy for him. Is that romance? You think and you dream of romance for all your life?
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Frankly, on this point, I totally agree. Romance can only occur between equals. I don't think it goes the other way around. Or at least it will only last between equals. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that. But then if that's the issue, I think his chapter should have been given a different name. Because if he did that, then I'd agree all the way. What I think this chapter does is it abuses the understanding of what romance is. It doesn't abuse the understanding of what equality is, and what responsibility is, and these things. I think it's very clear and it's very good. But I think it's a really distorted view of romance. I still think he just links it to 90 minutes of sex a week. And that's just not romance! You know?
He also didn't say that. It's also your interpret it.
It is my interpretation, but what he does...
They give you both of you time.
What he does say is you need to schedule your sex, and he does say you need 90 minutes a week at least to talk. And he does say once you get to the romance, he talks about candles and whatever. The implication, I think, is that this will be a physically intimate time, and that's romance. And I just think, well, that's a pretty thin sliver if you want to call that romance. You know, it's kind of already lacking some taste. But anyway, I like your reply. That was pretty full. So,
no, but you know, like I also still I want to say something for Peterson.
Okay.
I think he lives in this Western world.
Yeah.
So, like, basically, the equality is already there. So that's why he will say need negotiation, and because negotiation also need based on equality.
Yeah.
If there is no equality, there is no negotiation, right? So it's kind of like if in China, like if the kids not educated well, the society, even including other women, will say, "Oh, what kind of a mother you are." And then if like you are not like as pretty enough, they will say, "Oh, what kind of a wife you are." Like it's all on you. So there is no equity, you know. Like there is already so much burden on the woman's shoulders. So the women need to be very, very work hard to everything. And then at that time, they need to manage the romance again, like more burden, you know, more job.
Yeah.
So there is no romance at all. But I mean, here it's maybe mostly I saw so many father taking care of kids, and so many father like do the housework. So, and also like father work, somehow the mother even don't work, and still the father will take care of the kids. So I think it's more equal, you know. So then based on this equality, you can negotiate. And also you can have the romance, you know. Yeah. So I just want to say something for him, because he didn't write for the people all of the world. He just basically write for his Western audience. So nothing wrong there.
Yeah. All you're talking about the situation in China made me think, because you started by saying, you know, according to the country, everything is equal. The man gets a job and the woman gets the job. So from the man,
yes, regulation.
Yeah, from the man's point of view, we're all equal, but I'm just more equal.
Yeah, because kind of like because the regulation actually made by the man. You know, because the woman taking care of the kids, they never can, you know, promote this so highly.
Yeah.
If you look at the TV news of China's Congress or something, you barely see a woman's face, but you at least you would see a one. Why? Because they say we are equal, so we need a woman. So they definitely will put a woman face there to demonstrate they're so equal.
Yeah.
But this woman always gets a department which is not that important compared to theirs.
Yeah.
So that's the equality. It's from the beginning. It's from the deep down to the top. Then the man will say, "Look, your woman never have this smart, or you never have this EQ or IQ to get to higher position. You are incapable." But they never see what's going on with the woman. You know, all of the way along to the top. How many women sacrifice for them? So they will not know that. And they take it as birthrights, you know? They take it as like a base, an assumption. So that's why I just hate that system.
Yeah. So what score would you give this chapter? I know last time it was really good. You gave it a 7.
I think also 7.
7.
7 kind of is like my high score.
I see. Well, last time I gave it a 7 because it was okay. This chapter I will give it a 6 because I think it's slipping from okay to... there's some confusion here. About,
okay, never mind.
Yeah, okay. So would you give this chapter... How would you title it if you wanted to capture someone's attention to this chapter? What would you say?
I would say negotiation, like how to say the quotation... what's this? Like with stick and a point.
Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark.
What's mark?
Exclamation mark. It's a stick and then a...
Exclamation. Yeah. I will say negotiation this. negotiation this and negotiation this.
Just the word this, negotiation this, and
No. This is just means this. I don't know what quotation.
Negotiation, exclamation mark, like that.
Negotiation,
Bing.
explanation mark.
Yeah.
Negotiation, explanation
Bing.
mark. Negotiation, explanation
Bing.
mark.
Oh, 3 times.
Yeah,
The
just
Holy Trinity.
Important thing need to repeat 3 times.
I see. The Holy Trinity.
I think so.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Negotiate. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have anything else. How about you?
Okay. Well, let's stop here.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your fervent talking.
Okay. See you then.
That's it for today. Come back and check out some of our other videos. Please put your comments below, hit like and subscribe with notifications if you wish to join in conversations with us on other topics.